So how should we decide who goes first? Should we let out a secret game that we've always done back in the islands?
It's funny that you went there because I was thinking the same exact thing. And I was thinking maybe we go Umizuma.
Wow.
Just one hand though, one hand.
That's exactly
so it's
what
quick.
I was thinking.
Okay, perfect. I guess like for people listening, Umizuma is this game. I don't know where it originally comes from, but we play it with a lot of our friends back home. And pretty much it's everyone will have either two hands. Me and Carter, we're just going one hand. And you say Umizuma and then a number. If you get the number right, you take your hand out and pretty much you win. So we're pretty much trying to guess which number.
It's just a finger guessing game.
Yep. I've never done it online like this before, though. So this
might be a struggle, and you gotta just commit to your choice, whatever it is.
100%. Since I brought up the game, you can start.
Okay, lock it in. You can't look at me. You gotta look into the webcam.
Yep.
Okay, ready? Umizuma 1.
Right off the bat, he gets it.
But we gotta play fair. Rebuttal. That's what we normally play.
Rebuttal. Okay.
That's not what we normally play.
Umizuma none. Oh.
I went up.
There you go. Good job, man. Good job.
Okay, well, I know you have some good picks on your hands, so I'll just get mine out of the way first. Not out of the way, but I'll chat about mine.
You're acting like you don't have good picks or something on your side.
I do have. I mean, I don't know if you have similar picks as me. I'm sure there's some overlap. There got to be.
Yeah.
With us, because we just grew up together on the islands as an island duo, literally, as island boys. So I'm just going to start off. And this is an island duo. People like experiencing fresh, plump, and raw.
Oh, plump and raw. I mean, I was with the raw. I was gonna go poke, like maybe a poke bowl, the fish and rice, but then the plump, fresh, plump and raw, plump.
Yeah, it's Pokeball, right?
It's Pokeball, okay. Yeah, so the plump
is just throw it off a little bit,
kind of like
just like fat.
Yeah,
fat ahi. But that's right. Islands are often surrounded by rich fishing waters, as we know, making seafood a staple in many island dishes. So this is not only contained to Hawaii, but you got fresh poke in Hawaii, to ceviche in the Caribbean islands, to melt in the mouth sashimi in Japan. Of course, we know they created sushi. We talked about our favorite nigiris in the past episode too. But each island has its unique vision of fresh fish that tells really a story of the traditions and cultures within that cuisine or just that geographic region. But since we're Hawaii boys and since, literally you and our boy Matt shaped a company around what is a poke bowl, it's one of the island's Hawaii staples. So we're going to talk about, poke bowl, and the first duo basically being fresh fish with meals. So that's my first duo. And so you don't have this, or maybe you don't want to reveal that you don't have this pick yet?
Well, I was going to say, like, I'm happy you brought it up because I actually don't have it. And I was really considering it. But I mean, it's hard to deny because, like you said, it's part of the island lifestyle is cultivating what is there. And some of the best fish is part of all island nature and just the geographic location. So, dude, love it.
Yeah. Because geographically, islands are surrounded by water and it's usually a smaller mass of land. So, of course, you have a higher chance of just catching fresh fish or there being more seafood around the area. But talking about Hawaii specifically, this goes back to the native Hawaiians fishing for aku or skipjack tuna and he'e or taco, octopus. And they were staples in ancient diet. So they use sea salt, limu or seaweed as we know, and inamona, which is crushed kukui nut, to season their fresh fish. So this is a very authentic way of eating raw fish back in the day, an ancient way of eating. And then a lot of influence came in with the Japanese and Chinese immigrants arriving to work on the sugar and the pineapple plantations in the late 19th century, early 20th century. And so, yeah, basically my ancestors.
Yeah, there you go,
With
bro.
and we bring in the soy sauce flavors, unagi sauce. They're adding new little things in there. Like even some poke places have tempura flakes, but I don't know. I usually get onions, things like that. And then fast forward, then again, the poke wave kind of takes even the mainland and the United States mainland by storm, and they take it too far. They take it a bit too far,
Yeah.
honestly. And that's where I differentiate the two, and that being poke versus poke.
Oh yeah.
And of course, yeah, we talk about the mainland, the commercialization and dilution of poke's authentic form, really. And now you're having these bowls, mixed bowls with a bunch of mash, like fish. I don't even know. It's not fresh. It's definitely frozen, some of mash, like tuna. Then you got like edamame in there and like it's weird shit, like cucumbers, carrot, like all of these weird little ingredients, like
Dude.
crab, like imitation crab and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's not the authentic way of poke. And they literally call these places. I'm surprised there's not some like lost. I guess no one protected the authentic form of poke like that. But even you talk about, not to put them on a bad rap, the places are still like, they're still okay. They're still good, but I don't like how they call it poke.
Mm-hmm.
And you have places like Pokeonometry or Pokemi. They literally spell it Poki. Because I got stoked when I was at Chapman and these poke places were popping up around campus. I was stoked because I was like, oh yeah, that's my home taste. And I want to try to experience what they got out here. So I went to these places stoked and was, severely disappointed once I tried these weird mashup bowls. But anyways, we need to bring poke back. If you guys want to taste an authentic style of poke, go to Oahu, Nico's Pier 32. That's my shout out. Nico's Pier. As you know, Mox, that's my place.
That's your
And
place.
man, they have really fresh fish. I get the bloody aku, and you taste like raw, fresh fish, and it's awesome. They even have, they have like Japanese garlic clam there sometimes, or kimchi taco, things that I like to enjoy as well. But that feels a little more authentic and is really fresh. So yeah, that's basically my first pick is fresh fish and meals. It's just a staple of Hawaiian lifestyle, island lifestyle, in fact. And I miss it every single day. There's only a few spots here in LA that kind of share a similar style of poke back to the islands, but nothing compares to back home.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I did want to add one thing that just about the history. And the main reason why I kind of know this is because last year in Christmas, I filmed a video for the Heya Fish Pond. But essentially, back in like ancient Hawaii days, they didn't really have the resources to go out and canoe and fish out in the deep ocean. So like you kind of pointed to, they weren't eating ahi. They're eating like the different types of fish that you were talking about. But the only ways that they were able to cultivate it was through these fish ponds that they have.
Yeah.
And for me, I just wanted to point out like that this shows the innovation, just the knowledge of the land and the weather patterns that the Hawaiians and a lot of island people had of their island. It was like, they didn't have too much space to work with, so they had to master the natural elements of their specific island. And pretty much the way that the fish pond worked was it started from the waterfalls. The waterfalls would rain down, create these waterfalls that would then stream. That was the fresh water, was any of the rainfall that came, went through the lava rocks. Now it's purified fresh water. From there, it then flows in a stream into their taro farms, their kalo farms, where they would plant, harvest kalo. And pretty much kalo is what you can only really grow it in mud. So it was perfect. Like the stream would break up, flow into these kalo farms, and all the fertilizer that was coming in would then come back into the river or the stream and flow down into the fish pond. All that fertilizer then fed the fish that were coming into the fish pond, and pretty much like their way of doing it was they would create like these like little small brackets for
Like
like baby fish to like swim in.
grates, right? Like
Yep.
traps. So it's like a
Yep.
one way in, and you get
One
stuck
way
coming back
out.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And once you eat and get all fat, you can't swim back
you can't
out.
swim back out.
And
Smart.
so they're literally getting
Smart.
their, you know, the harvest, their land, the kalo, which was their main source of nutrients, but then they're also getting their protein, fresh water, all in one system. And you know, they call this the Ahupua'a system, and
Yep.
it's amazing when you kind of like can see it too. Like when you stand at the fish pond, you could see the waterfall, and then you could track it down through the land into the ocean. And it's remarkable that they just mastered the land in the way that they did. Really, really awesome, and love the
Yeah.
pick, bro.
And shout out Heyo Fish Pond, because I don't know how many fish ponds there are like that anymore.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's pretty sad.
And if you look at it too, if we still had fish ponds and we were utilizing systems that pretty much took care of itself, the land and the earth would probably be a much better place, because what we've turned to was more of a, you're just kind of abusing the resources rather than letting the resources refurnish itself, which that was the system before. It was like everything was kind of feeding into the next, you know, because even the water from the fish pond would then evaporate, turn into rain that would come back down the waterfall. And so, you know, that was like one reflection I took when I filmed the video was I feel like the earth would be in a lot better place if they took some notes from what Native Hawaiians did, but also the Native Americans, a lot of different island people, just their systems of taking care of the land. So with my first pick, my first duo showcases two actions that couldn't be more opposite. Yet they go hand in hand, like sand and sunscreen. One is all about conquering the impossible, defying gravity, and feeling like a god riding on liquid gold. The other, it's about Mother Nature reminding you who's boss by throwing you headfirst into a natural washing machine. One moment you're gliding effortlessly across the face of nature's greatest masterpieces, and the next you're a human tumbleweed getting flipped upside down. To illustrate this even further, I have a song I would like to play.
Iroha. Wipe.
Yes, sir. That's right. The duo I'm talking about is the duo of surfing and wiping out. The thrill and the humility, the beauty and the chaos, the yin and the yang of ocean adventures.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Love it. Love it, bro.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, the duo of surfing and wiping out is as old as the activity, the sport itself. And I think this really symbolizes the highs and lows that are associated with wave riding. And of course, surfing is a key part to a lot of the island lifestyles, but specifically where we come from, back home in Hawaii, it's kind of like the epicenter. And you can't really think of surfing without thinking of wiping out, because it's kind of just part of it. I kind of just want to get us kind of started with going back into some of the history with this duo. And surfing really originated in ancient Polynesia, with Hawaii being its epicenter. Known as he'enalu, or wave sliding, it was more than a sport. It was a spiritual and cultural practice tied to the oceans and the gods. And wiping out, so for early surfers, including Hawaiian royalty, they knew that falling off of their long wooden koa boards was all part of the process. The unpredictability of the waves made wiping out inevitable and a humbling part of mastering the art. And then, of course, from these ancient times, by the 1950s and 60s, surfing has become a cultural phenomenon, particularly in California and Hawaii, as surfers developed their own slang to describe their experiences, and wipeout became the go-to term for falling off a wave in a dramatic or chaotic way. And, you know, I guess for me, I haven't really surfed a lot in my life. I haven't caught a lot of waves, but I have definitely experienced wiping out a fair share of my time.
Yeah.
And what I can say about at least my experiences through wiping out is it makes me respect the art of surfing and just surfers in general, because it's like I know that they probably went through this a lot of times. I know for me, when I wipe out, it's like, man, this sucks. You know, it's like I'm
It
being,
feels like it's over. It
yeah.
feels like it
No,
is truly one of the most dangerous sports and things that can
yeah,
happen to you because you have no control. Like we talked
yep.
about in our last episode too with water duos, just the power of these waves and the way it pulls you under. You just
Mhm.
gotta literally hold your breath and hold on. You know,
Oh yeah, oh
you
yeah,
can't fight it. You just gotta
nope,
let it happen.
oh yeah.
So
And it's so discombobulating too. You just don't know where your orientation is when you're getting tumbled down there. You don't know what's under you. You're just, like you said, holding on. I think me, you, most people, wiping out is this kind of scary, intimidating, put you in your place type of thing. But the thing I respect and love about the surfers is they almost romanticize wiping out. Like I've like heard, watched some videos. I've heard talk or heard surfers talking about their experiences wiping out, and it's not like a scary story. It's more of one of like they're just it's funny. It's like they wear it as like a badge of honor that I mean I wiped out a pipe, got scraped by like the reef, but I made it out. And I think this duo is symbolic of a bunch of really important aspects just of life in general. And we kind of talked about it already, but there's this balance of triumph and humility. And I think surfing in a lot of ways resembles this. It represents the exhilaration of success. When you see someone go through the tube and pop out on the other side. And like I kind of said in the introduction, they're like gods when they're riding these waves, these huge, monstrous waves. But then at the same time, you got to balance this with the humility aspect of it, because that's what the wipeout is. It doesn't matter how good you are, you'll still wipe out. Mother Nature reigns supreme, and you have to have respect and humility for Mother Nature at the end of the day, and not get too high in the triumph. But then another part of it is this huge part of perseverance, because wiping out is inevitable with surfing. And people who continue to surf and become lifelong surfers need to persevere through the challenge of wiping out, the scariness of wiping out. In a way, all this kind of resembles the connection to life success, because in order to be successful in life, this is intertwined with persevering and having humility in the fact that it's not always going to go your way. So that's kind of like what I had for the duo of surfing and wiping out. And I kind of just wanted to ask you if you had any special memories, since we grew up in the islands, any special memories of either surfing or wiping out.
mm. Yeah, and then back to your other point about how people enjoy it, unless people talk about their wipeouts, unless they're you ever see that series 100 Foot Wave? You're like Kai Lenny and you're riding like 100 Foot Wave. Because that you don't want to experience. Man, those things,
Yeah.
that series is intense. It's one of my favorite docuseries of all time. It's on HBO, if anyone hasn't seen it. 100 Foot Wave, Garrett McNamara, all these legends go out to Nazaré in Portugal. But yeah, the sport has really carried on. But I haven't surfed much. Our friends tried to get us into it a bit, and we tried to take some lessons through Uncle Crade and Justin them. I remember one time I was out in Ala Moana with like Cam, Just, and everything. And this is one of the last times I've been out there, kind of past the shore break. But I told this story to you before, and they're kind of hitting the little bit the bigger waves, and I was kind of going for the smaller ones because I wanted to practice.
Mhm.
But I was out on the side, and then I saw this big like fin just appear maybe like 10 yards in front of me, come out of the water with three stripes on it. I remember specifically three like light brown stripes, and then it went back down under, and I was like, oh shit. And this was like early college, and I remember going back, I didn't freak out or anything, but I was like, okay, this looks like a tiger shark. So I turned back and I told Justin that I was like, yo, I think I saw a tiger shark out here. I think I'm gonna head back in, or it's just I don't know. I just want to go back in right now. And so they're like, "Oh, are you sure?" Like sometimes turtles like flip their fins up and do that. I'm like, oh, I'm pretty. It looked like a damn like near big fit, like a big shark fin, you know. So I was like, I'm just gonna head back. So I just kind of, without freaking out, just not thinking about it coming out, you know, under me, because that's the scary thing too about the ocean. A lot of people can't get over the fact that a lot of times you're surfing and there's sharks under you, and there's all these things that are unknown as well. But that was one of the, I do want to get back into surfing sometime down the road when I get, you know, have more time, go back to the beach. I really do, because I enjoyed it while that run lasted. And but another time I got wiped out was when one of the first times I rode waves at Keikis, just body surfing. And if you guys don't know, Keikis or Keiki Beach up on the North Shore is one of those shore breaks that is infamous for being unsuspecting
Monster.
and just powerful, just monster waves, especially during the winter time. And these waves can get up to, I'd like to say, what, 8 to 10
Yeah. Oh yeah.
potentially
Short break too, and
on the
it's
shore break.
heavy.
So it's
Yeah.
intense, and it's a long, big shore break, shore too. So the wave crashes down to the shore and it could really tug you and pull you back out like
Yeah.
20 yards, you know? And so there was a decision point, and I was like, because I saw maybe one or two other boys in there. I was like, yeah, screw it. You got to just try it. Just try to ride some waves. So I went in there, and there's some joy in getting tossed around and beat up. That's what people like, you know,
Mm.
trying to body, you know, surf and trying to get barreled just in a shore break. And I'm pretty sure I went for this one and I got crushed into the sand, like hit my head on like the shore or like the side of my head or something. I was getting tumbled. I had no control, had no freaking idea where I was. I was under there for like 10 or so seconds, it felt like. And then after, I remember when I went back home that night, it felt good, but it felt like, you know, you feel like you get roughed up, you get a good, then you open, you know, I wasn't drinking beer at the time, but in that case, I would crack open a green bottle and dig into a poke bowl, you know, with replenish and everything. It feels so good after a day of just out in the water like that. But I remember I couldn't hear out of my like left ear or something, and then I had to get checked out by the doctor. I was like, I know like something's going on with my ear, and then he said, "Oh yeah, you have a bunch of sand lodged in there." So he went in, and like a ton of sand just came out of my ear. But that was yeah one of my initial
That's how you know you wiped out
wipeouts.
hard, bro. Is if
Yeah, that's how you know
it's
you
like,
kind of wiped out
yeah,
when there's sand
bro,
literally
yeah,
lodged into your ear and you're kind of
yeah,
plugged hearing. But it was a what do you call a rite of passage, really,
yeah,
just to experience the North Shore because that's when I was a kid, and since then it's been one of my favorite spots to
yeah.
go back to. But what
Oh
about
yeah.
you?
I mean, kind of similar. I mean, not don't have a lot of experience surfing. I think the memory I have is like the memories as a kid when almost like the first times wiping out. I remember being on like my little uh like bodyboard and just getting tumbled out by where was it? Like Bellows or uh Sherwood's area.
Mm.
And I remember I was probably like 7 years old, but I just remember that washing, like I felt like I was doing like back flips or front flips over and over again, just continuing to get up. And I remember like at that point too, I was just like, I would like wipe out, and then my dad would be on the beach, like, yeah, like go again, go again. So I'd get back on the board, wipe out again, and just like that of just continuing to persevere and almost finding a little joy in the washing machine aspect of it. And yeah, those are some of my favorite memories.